So who you buy from very much matters. And we can either give the company a good name or give the company a bad name, depending on the customer service that we give our customers. And it's very important that we give good customer service, because I think that this should be in every home. And if I sell someone a system and I give them good customer service and I teach them how to give good customer service, then they will pass that on and pass it on and pass it on. And then we have an excellent line of customer service. Whereas if we don't do it this way, what we have is an unhappy customer that will badmouth our company. Okay, and as a rep, I am the company. Okay, so I am the customer service, and I can either make it or break it for this man here and all the effort he's put into it. And he saved my life with this system, so I really want to do what I can to help other people understand the benefit of it. So one of the things that I do is I started out going to my doctor's office. I went there once a week, and I started seeing her patients and putting them on the mat, figuring out what works best, what works for each individual. You have to figure it out. This gave me a lot of experience. I then moved to the pharmacy, where I was doing the same thing, seeing people regularly. And there are 284 conditions in the eye guide, but there are conditions that aren't in the eye guide. And so there are things that you have to figure out for yourself. For instance, there is a heel spur in the eye guide. There's not a bone spur. The bone spur setting, or the heel spur setting, works for a bone spur. So there are things that you figure out when you start using it in the application of trying to help people, that you can figure out these things and fill in those gaps in the eye guides. I'm just looking for my husband. The sound of the sleep. I can't hear it. His mouth was wide open. Okay, anyway, I hope the rest of you are falling asleep to what I'm saying. But anyway, okay, so I have quit going to the pharmacy, okay? And now I'm dealing with doctors and chiropractors and pharmacists and veterinarians. And so I just created a booklet that I'm printing and going to give out to people, inviting them to have me come to their store or a workout club or doctor's office or whatever for one day and man my system and show them, just like I say, bring your sick to me and watch what I can do. And when I've done this, I've sold at least 2 systems every time. And you're putting it in the hands of someone who then knows how powerful it is, and then they can pass it on. And you're teaching, you're creating a line of, because if somebody buys a mat and they don't understand how to use it, it's not going to be the miraculous healing device that we know it can be. Like Wolfgang said, you have to turn on the mat to actually get it to work. You know, having a mat is not going to make you better. Getting on the mat will. So first you learn how to use your mat, and then you collect evidence. I collected testimonies of so many people. So now when someone says, do you know this? Yeah, well, I had a client that da-da-da-da-da, and I can tell them. There are so many varying testimonies of little children, double pneumonia, vaccine injuries. Just, you will gather a wealth of information from your experience, and then every testimony you get is something else that you can share with someone who might need to hear that in order to know that this is something they should try. So collect your evidence. This is a book that I made, and you can make your own. So I just have my testimony. I have the system on the page, and then I have the components broken down. I have all the individual therapies explained. And then I have some evidence in the thermographic images that I've used. And then I have some client reviews. I have a chiropractor, a veterinarian, and a workout club, because that's who I'm going to go see in MAPS. And so I created this booklet. I'll put a custom letter on the inside that will be to the specific, to veterinarians, or to give them a little bit more information. I will wrap this up, give them my testimony, and line up the days that I go and do this. So this is this is what I have created to try to, because I really want people to not need doctors. And on a large scale, I think for the most part, I think we could do that. If everybody had a mat and we all used it, and the mat's only going to deliver to all your cells what you're putting in your body. So you have to eat good food or take some good supplements. But if you do, it will deliver the nutrients to all your cells and you will get better. I mean, it's just, it takes longer for some than others. Does anyone have any questions about, go ahead.
So when you schedule your all-day sessions, how long do you allow pre-appointment?
So I have people fill out an intake form to make sure that they don't have anything that's not allowed, to make sure that they don't have a problem with flashing lights. And if they do, we just omit the brainwave entrainment. If they've ever had any seizures, I have them fill out this paperwork. And then we do 8 to 10 minutes for the session for the mat. And then we do the pad and spot. I'll give someone, so part of what I've done is, my husband's a fireman, he pays my bills. I don't have to charge a certain amount or see so many people in order to pay my bills. The pharmacy I was working out of didn't charge me any rent at all. She was just so grateful that I was there to help her clients that she just said, come and do it. So I could charge only $25. And so that's what I did. But if you have to see people and you may not be able to do that, but I just collected evidence and collected testimony. So I didn't have a time limit. I have.
But like you didn't schedule people, like so that someone would show up at a certain time.
What I did was I set up 2 systems, and I stand there, and you bring me somebody, and I'll show you how to deal with it. And I'll do it until
2 systems work, but.
Right. So with 2 systems, I have the hybrid set up so they can do the brainwave entrainment with the sensor, use the infrared, and then we move to the pad and spot, and I have another system there to use the pad and spot with. So I only have 1 mat and then a pad and spot. And we can cycle them through pretty quickly. You know, not everybody has an issue. And some people get off the mat and say, whew, I'm all good. You know, all right.
It's good.
Go ahead.
There a clear center on base to go to get further training that they need to with.
So I don't know of one. It's there. The company has information, and like I said, with the eye guide, there are holes in it because it's not a complete list of every condition known to man. But what I can tell you is that Ehlers-Danlos, the thing that I was born with, isn't on the list, but it helps with it immensely. So you just have to, and that's where trial and error comes in. Like the Wolf's Law, go with that. Go with Wolf's Law.
Okay.
Let that be your guide. Go ahead.
I need to take something infrared.
Yes, it's about a $35,000 camera. I don't have one. You can look up thermographic images and find someone who does them near you. I had to pay the lady several $100s to come and take the pictures. And what I would recommend, if anybody is interested in doing thermographic images, I would recommend you do a before shot, you do the mat, you do the pad and spot, you address everything, because the pictures that I showed you, so the human version over here, I didn't even do her back at all. I should have done her back, but it's all a learning experience. So even if you mess up, just take it as a learning experience. Because what I learned from that is that I need to not just get everybody through as fast as I can. I need to completely address all of their concerns. What I wanted was a red yucky picture and a completely green picture. I didn't do that because I messed it up, but that's all right. It's a learning experience. I'll get more pictures in the future, and the next brochure will be even better. So,
How much the book?
how much is the book? Personally, I've spent probably $2,500 developing this book.
When you can.
I do not sell it. I'm showing you what it is because at this point, what I have is that this is what I have created, and you can, so I took information from the website and from my own experience and developed this, and that's basically what we have to do. I am considering putting this out for sale, but it would be expensive because it cost me almost a year, and I wasn't making sales during that time. So for you to buy it and just go make your sales that whole year, I was working hard, and I paid somebody else to help me work hard on it. So I will give you my business card. Yeah.
Ditto that.
I'm sorry.
I said ditto that.
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Does anyone have any other questions about dealing with customers, about anything?
We took what
Okay.
they spoke about the I see lightning once in a while flashes, and then in your case, it's a buck or you could stop. You the machine there be fine.
So I'll tell you this. When I first got my mat, when I was using it, I wasn't very into it yet. I was just, all I knew, I didn't know that the pad and the spot and the brainwave entrainment even existed. What I knew was that if I laid on this mat for 8 minutes, I didn't have to die. And so that was my testimony. And I'm like, hey, you should try my mat. I don't even have to die. And they're like, well, I don't have to die anyway. Thanks anyway. I'm not interested in your mat, you know? So once again, it was a learning experience, but it's, I'm sorry. I completely,
It's just the way
oh, that's what I was going to tell you. So so at one point I stopped using it because I was trying to get diagnosed with one of the conditions that it may have been. My eyes and brain shaking may have been. So I wanted to know, what is this that I have? And so I stopped using it. And I figured in the very beginning I had to use it for like twice a week was all I could afford. And that managed my symptoms pretty well. And so I figured if I quit using it for 2 weeks, then the symptoms will come back full force and then I can get diagnosed. So I quit using it for 3 weeks and the symptoms never came back full force. Okay. What did come back was I wore dentures because I've had all my teeth pulled, 24 teeth pulled in a day in my 20s, and one of the 19 surgeries. And a knot came through the roof of my mouth that made it so that I couldn't wear my dentures anymore. And so that's what made me get back on the mat. And within 3 days, the knot was gone. So after the first day, I could wear my dentures again. After 3 days, the knot was completely gone.
what about that flashing? We have any idea what that is?
When you say flashing, what are you talking about?
Like widely by God.
You're seeing lightning going off in your eyes. I'm not familiar with that. That's not something that I have. I had lightning strikes. I felt like I was being struck by lightning. Like I would be standing there and I would just fall on the ground, screaming. Yeah.
I thought you said
No, not the light. No, it was actually feeling like I'm being electrified.
about the goggles.
Okay.
We talked about the goggles.
You're talking about the goggles?
I thought you said that you made people something said that they didn't have this.
Oh, if they have a problem with flashing lights. Is that what you're saying? Okay. So if someone has a problem with flashing lights, then I don't do the goggles. I'll still do the ears. But if I don't want to make somebody mad or frustrated. That's not the whole point of we want to help them relax and heal. We're not trying to piss them off. So, if somebody has a problem with flashing lights, then I don't need you to have had a seizure to not show you flashing lights. If it's irritating to you, that's okay. We'll skip that card. But it's a very vital part of the system. So if somebody doesn't have a problem with flashing lights and they haven't had a seizure, it's very important to use the brainwave entrainment too.
Very time back here on the for women pension. And how does the flash like I know he work that
Right, that's the brainwave entrainment. And so it works in conjunction with the binaural beats in your ears, the tones. And so they go faster and then slower and faster and slower, taking your brain through the whole spectrum of what you want your brain to do. Sometimes we want our brain to fire quickly, other times we want to slow down and relax. With CRPS, the condition I have, my brain never turns off. My brain's always going. I used to hate the brainwave entrainment. I couldn't tolerate it, but I forced myself to do it. And now at night, when I want to go to sleep, my brain's like,
well,
it's in me. Yeah, let me turn off. Help me. Yeah.
that's
I apologize. I completely missed your question. I thought you were talking about you were seeing, just walking around in life, seeing lightning strikes in your eyes.
there's
Oh, you are seeing that. Okay. So then I wasn't totally misunderstanding. So I'm not sure what that is, but I wouldn't be surprised if the mat helps. Okay. Anybody else have any other questions? So I just want to talk for a second about customer service. Okay, so when you buy a mat, your upline, whoever you bought the mat from, is your customer service. And if they have if you have a problem, you should go to the person that sold you the mat. And that person should teach you through giving you materials or instructing you how to sufficiently use the mat. Okay, what I do is I tell my clients individually, I'll set it up with them and make sure that they know how to use it. I had a client who had an IQ of 85 and he could not understand what I was saying. So I wrote it all down in a text message, turn on the system on the right side, and then press this and then press that. And I created a program for him. So it was only 5 steps he had to do. And I just put it in a text message and sent it to him. So there are ways to help people understand, even if they can't function, if their brain isn't working optimally, there are ways that you can, and you need to make sure that people understand how to use their system. Because I've had people contact me online who bought from someone else and they didn't tell them how to use the system, or they told them that the brainwave entrainment and the sensor was something they didn't need when they absolutely did need it. And once I got them the brainwave entrainment and the sensor and taught them how to lower the setting, then they started getting good results. So it's very important to know how to use your system and for people to know. And hey, go ahead.
If I were to get a treatment or buy my own mat, I actually have issues in different areas of my body. So I do yours a medium setting for the
So what you would do is you would go by Wolfie's law, what he explained as far as the mat and the padless spot. So you would start by using the mat for 8 minutes, and after you use the mat, within 4 hours, you can use the padless spot. If it's been more than 4 hours since you used the mat, you need to use the mat again for 6 hours. But so you don't want to do your shoulder and your chest because those are too close together, but you could put the pad behind your back and the spot on your foot, and just do them individually so that they're not right on top of each other, and just move it around until you're feeling better. Sometimes I'll do my feet and do my neck, then I'll do my shoulder. I don't usually have to do much anymore. I've been on my feet for 8 weeks, so I'm doing my feet. I did my feet back there today, but anybody else? I'm sorry? So autism is on the list of conditions that this system has been proven to help with. And my experience, so I have some clients who have autism and traumatic brain injuries, and they are very frustrated easily and can get violent. And I've been told that the mat is one of only 2 things in the whole world that have helped them to calm down and to not get so frustrated and just to feel better. Anybody else? Okay.
Kind of bearing in mind the fact that the first thing would.
So if flashing lights bother him, they don't. If it bothers him, don't use it. If they don't bother him, so I have a client who had severe migraines for 25 years, and when they bought a system, she said the brainwave entrainment greatly helped, and her husband said I gave him back his wife. Yeah. Go ahead.
What about time?
I'm sorry?
Alzheimer's.
And
How does time at
Alzheimer's. That's on the list. That's on the list of things that has been proven to help. Yeah. So there's a protocol in the system for that. You just go to the iGuide and press Alzheimer's. Anybody else? Go ahead.
I just want to say that now that the far retina has been integrated into the eye, I think that's
Oh, I do too.
because it already has the frequency and intensity of the condition that you were looking to support the body with. But
Right.
now with hip arthritis, you have to go in and try to manipulate because you want to use the.
Right?
So anyway, I just want to say
Absolutely.
because it already has Alzheimer's programmed in there or kidney cells or whatever, you can find a condition and then utilize that, then it integrates everything in the system.
Right. Also, when you're filling in the gaps, okay, if you're dealing with a breathing issue, and the breathing issue that you're trying to address, and I don't treat anything because I'm not a doctor, so I say things like session and address, not treatments and treat, okay? But if you're dealing with a breathing issue, find a different breathing issue and try that setting. Try asthma, try pneumonia, okay? And so you have to be creative. And that's part of what was so valuable for me working with the pharmacist that I was working with, is that she had some medical knowledge, I had some PEMF knowledge, and together we were able to figure it out. So if you can find somebody like that that has a little bit more knowledge than you have, you can, bank off of each other and figure it out. Go ahead. So this is and I wanted to say that when Wolfgang was up here. I know of a testimony of a woman who has epilepsy, who had seizures until she got our system, okay? She does not use the brainwave entrainment. So when you see that there's a contraindication, that's for the entire system. That is not for just the PEMF or just the infrared. It's for the entire system. Someone with epilepsy cannot use it, okay? But someone with epilepsy absolutely can use everything but the flashing lights. Flashing lights are known to trigger a seizure. So that's why we don't use the flashing lights. Anybody else? Go ahead. So the sensor I use on the middle finger or on the ring finger, okay? You have to make sure that the cord is coming out the top of the finger, and there's a little fingernail looking emblem on the sensor itself so that it looks like the fingernail with these little wrinkles here on the finger. And so that's how you know how you have it. It's measuring the blood flow, and these are the fingers with the most blood flow. I hear the left ring finger goes straight to the heart, and that's why we put a ring on it. So that's what I heard, but I just left it back. That's just what I heard though.
But you have something.
So it's allowing your biofeedback to be read and giving blood flow. So sometimes somebody with Raynaud's will lay on the mat and I don't get a reading on their sensor. Sometimes I don't want someone to use the sensor necessarily. I don't want the intensity to be brought up because it's in the late afternoon or something, and I'm not trying to jack them up. I'm trying to keep them low. But if they're a new person, I'll give them I'll put the sensor on them and watch it just to see what their readings are. And I'll pull it off if they raise the intensity. I'll stop it and reset it at the intensity I want, and then I'll pull the sensor up. I just want to see if their blood's flowing well enough to be able to get the saturated pulse oxygen, the heart rate, and the HRVC reading. Wolfie's Lot or the eye guy. Yeah. And what I say is if somebody has a nerve issue, I stay low and go slow. You can go up, you can't go down. I can't undo a higher frequency. I can raise the frequency. So, and that's what not having a time frame where I didn't have to, you've had your 24 minutes off of my mat. I didn't have to do that. The little old lady with the hands, I spent probably 2 hours with her. Part of it was talking, but for $25, I spent 2 hours with her. And that's just what my heart thinks that, that's what fits me. It's not necessarally needed to. Are we done?